Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Ever stop to think about, well, the power inside your own head, that invisible stuff?
It's pretty amazing when you do. Our thoughts, our beliefs, they're actually shaping everything, aren't they? Our ambitions, our whole lives.
Totally. And often we don't even realize it's happening. We're just sort of products of what's around us.
Exactly. But what if you could grab the reins on that? What if you could make those forces work for you? That's
the big question, isn't it? And that's what we're diving into today. We're pulling out the absolute best bits, the real practical stuff from a classic, David J. Schwartz's The Magic of Thinking Big.
Ah, fantastic book. Really holds up.
It really does. We're focusing specifically on the first 13 chapters, the real foundational ideas. Think of this as your fast track to getting what this book is all about, and, more importantly, how you can actually use these ideas, like right now.
And Schwartz knew his stuff. He wasn't just theorizing. He was a professor, a renowned speaker. He spent his career digging into leadership, success, how this all works.
Yeah. And right in the preface, he asked this killer question. Why talk about thinking big? And then the real kicker. If thinking big accomplishes so much, why doesn't everyone think that way?
Good question.
And his answer is fascinating. He basically says, look, we soak up the thinking around us. And a lot of that thinking, well, it's small. We hear things like, oh, opportunities are gone, or that old line, too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Right, that's such a common feeling, like all the good spots are taken.
But Schwartz flips it completely.
Yeah.
Based on talking to tons of people, he says the real problem is the opposite. Too many Indians and not nearly enough chiefs. The leadership roles, the chance to do something big, they're still there. Wide open, really.
It's about perspective then, seeing the gap and being willing to step up.
Exactly. And he tells this great story about a sales meeting. There's this guy, Harry. Looks totally average.
Okay.
But Harry's pulling in almost $60,000 a year when the average salesperson in that same company is making maybe $12,000.
Oh.
5 times more.
Wow. So what was his secret? Super smart. Worked crazy hours.
Nope. The VP running the meeting checked everything. Tests. Average. Work ethic. Actually took more time off. Better territory. Nope. Education. Health. All average. Harry was just average. Except for one thing.
Let me guess. His thinking.
You got it. The size of his thinking. That was the only difference.
That's powerful. It wasn't about raw talent, just the scale of his belief and ambition.
Precisely. And that perfectly captures the book's core promise. Think big and you live big. Big in happiness, big in accomplishment, income, friends, respect, the whole package.
It's not just about money then. It's about a bigger, richer life overall.
Right. It echoes what thinkers have said for ages. As one thinketh in his heart, so is he. Or Emerson. Great men are those who see that thoughts rule the world.
Shakespeare too, right? The mind is its own place.
And in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven.
Yeah.
Spot on. Our inner world creates our outer reality. And like Disraeli said, life is too short to be little.
So this deep dive isn't just philosophy. We're digging into the practical tools, the techniques, not just the what, but the how you can apply this stuff starting today.
Exactly. The goal is to get you launched, powered by belief.
Belief really is the starting point, isn't it?
Absolutely. Schwartz calls it the foundation. He uses this great analogy. Belief is like the thermostat of accomplishment. What's he getting at there?
It's perfect, right? If you deep down believe you're only worth, say, a small amount, your internal thermostat is set low.
Okay.
So you won't aim high, you won't expect much, and, well, you'll get little back. But if you genuinely, truly believe you can achieve big things.
You crank the thermostat up.
Exactly. And that belief actively triggers your mind. It starts searching for ways to make it happen. It sparks creativity, opens your eyes to possibilities. It's not just hoping. It's like an active mental engine.
He also uses that image of Mr. Triumph and Mr. Defeat in your head, like two foremen.
Yeah, I love that one. They're just waiting for orders. So you wake up, you think, ugh, today's going to be rough. Who gets the call?
Mr. Defeat.
Right. And he jumps right on it, starts finding evidence. Oh, it's too hot. Sales will be slow. That meeting will be tense. And pretty soon you're convinced your day becomes lousy.
But if you flip the script,
give the positive signal. Today is a fine day. Now Mr. Triumph steps up. He finds his proof. Weather's great. Feeling productive. Good things are going to happen. And they do. Mr. Defeat proves why you'll fail. Mr. Triumph shows you how you'll succeed.
And the really crucial part is, the more you use one, the stronger he gets.
Precisely. It's like building a muscle. Keep feeding Mr. Defeat negative thoughts, and he takes over the whole mental factory. Soon, everything looks bleak.
So the advice is pretty blunt.
Yeah. Fire Mr. Defeat. Just get rid of him. Use Mr. Triumph 100% of the time. Any thought pops in your head, give it to Mr. Triumph. He'll find the upside, the path forward.
Okay, so how do we actually build that muscle, that power of belief? He gives 3 guides, right?
Yes, 3 core things to focus on. First, think success, don't think failure. It sounds simple, maybe, but it's about actively swapping out thoughts.
Like catching yourself thinking I'll probably lose and forcing yourself to think I'll win.
Exactly that. Or changing I'm outclassed to I'm equal to the best. Or I can't to I can do it. It's like conditioning your mind. You're literally creating the mental pathways for success instead of failure. It's a powerful, self-fulfilling thing.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the second guide?
This one's huge, I think, because we all do it. Remind yourself regularly that you are better than you think you are.
Selling ourselves short.
Constantly. We underestimate what we're capable of. Schwartz insists that successful people aren't, superhumans. They're mostly ordinary folks who just develop this rock-solid belief in themselves. His big line is, never sell yourself short. You've got more in you than you realize.
I like that. So, think success, believe you're better than you think.
What's the third?
It follows naturally. Believe big. Simple as that. The size of your success mirrors the size of your belief. Small goals, small belief. Small results.
Makes sense. But here's the really interesting bit. He argues that big ideas, big plans, are often no more difficult than small ones. Sometimes they're even easier.
Easier? How does that work?
Well, think about it. A really big, exciting goal tends to generate more energy, attract more help, spark more enthusiasm. The actual planning effort might be similar, but the momentum you get from thinking big can make the execution smoother.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
He gives an example, doesn't he? The mobile home lady.
Oh, yeah. Great story. This young woman wants to start a mobile home sales agency. She has less than $3,000.
Not much for starting a business like that.
Right. Everyone told her, you're crazy, you need way more capital, the competition's fierce, you have 0 experience. But she just believed. Deeply. She knew the challenges, but she believed she could overcome them. Sold over $1 million worth of trailers in the first year, planning to double it the next. Her success wasn't about having all the resources. It was that belief, strong belief, that fired up her mind to figure things out. And that kind of belief, it inspires confidence in others, too. People want to back someone like that.
So it really is like setting that internal thermostat to high. Okay,
Yeah.
Belief established.
Mhm.
But then there's this other thing he talks about, this disease, excusitis.
Ah, yes, excusitis, the failure disease, chapter 2. This is the next big hurdle after building belief.
So what exactly is it? It sounds contagious.
It kind of is in a mental way. Schwartz says it's like any illness, it gets worse if you don't treat it. Basically, it's the habit of making excuses. When someone with excusitis falls short, what do?
Look for someone or something to blame.
Exactly. They scan for an alibi. Was it my health, my education, too old, too young, just bad luck? They pick one that sounds plausible, one that saves face. And here's the dangerous part. They latch onto it. They repeat it. To themselves, to others. And that repetition, it's like fertilizer for the thought. It sinks into the subconscious. At first, maybe they know it's not the whole story, but the more they say it...
The more they start to believe it's the absolute truth.
Precisely. They basically program themselves with this limitation. It becomes their reality because they've repeated the excuse so many times.
Wow. So how do you cure this? He calls it a vaccination, right?
Yeah, vaccinating yourself against excusitis is step 1 in his success program, and he breaks down the 4 most common types and, crucially, how to cure them.
Right, let's hear them. What's the first one?
Health excusitis. This is a big one. It goes from just, a general I don't feel good vibe to using very specific illnesses as reasons not to do things.
Like avoiding responsibility or not going for promotion because of a bad back or something.
Exactly. Or using it to explain why they can't earn more. The key thing Schwartz points out is nobody's physically perfect. Everyone has something. He tells a story about a guy in Cleveland with a supposed bad heart. Seen 4 doctors, all said different things, but he just worried himself sick. The worry was probably worse than the condition.
And that ties into that EIL concept, right? Emotionally induced illness.
Yes. He mentions Dr. Schindler's book, How to Live 365 Days a Year, and the startling idea that EIL is responsible for something like 3 out of 4 hospital beds.
3 out of 4, that's incredible.
It shows the power of the mind-body link. Stress, worry, negative emotions, they can create real physical problems. So the cure for health excusitis, 2 main things. First, Get the best medical advice you can, accept the diagnosis is final, stop the endless worrying, and just decide to live fully until you die. Don't waste life worrying about death.
Okay.
And second,
be genuinely grateful for the health you do have. Remember that saying. I felt sorry for myself because I had ragged shoes until I met a man who had no feet. Gratitude is a powerful antidote. Good advice. What's the next form of excusitis?
intelligence excusitis, the classic, I'm not smart enough.
Oh yeah, I hear that one a lot.
Schwartz insists it's mostly an illusion. IQ isn't the deciding factor for success. He quotes Dr. Edward Teller, the physicist, saying science needs interest more than a lightning-fast mind.
Interesting. So attitude trumps raw IQ.
Absolutely. He says someone with an average IQ, say 100, but a really positive can-do attitude will consistently achieve more than someone with a 120 IQ who's negative and resistant. And I love this phrase he uses. Stickability is 95% of ability.
Stickability.
Yeah.
Persistence. That makes so much sense. It's not just about brains, but grit, like that Henry Ford story.
Exactly. Ford didn't know all the facts they quizzed him on, but he knew how to find someone who did. His point was, using your mind to think, to solve problems, is way more valuable than just being a walking encyclopedia. Schwartz sought all the time brilliant people who became experts in why things wouldn't work, while less book-smart people with positive attitudes actually built successful businesses.
So how do you cure this one? Thinking you're not smart enough.
3 steps. 1. Stop underestimating your own intelligence and stop overestimating everyone else's. Focus on using the brain power you have effectively. Manage your assets. Don't obsess over an IQ number.
Okay.
2. Hammer this home daily. Your attitude is way more important than your raw intelligence. Cultivate positive attitudes. Use your brain to find ways to win, not reasons why you'll lose.
Makes sense.
And 3. Remember that thinking, creating, problem-solving is much more valuable than just memorizing facts. Use your mind to generate ideas, to improve things, not just to store old information.
All right. Health, intelligence. What's number 3?
Age excusitis. This one cuts both ways. I'm too old, or I'm too young.
The never the right time excuse.
Exactly. It slams the door on so many opportunities. For the too old crowd, he tells people like Cecil, who felt washed up near retirement, to look at the timeline. Productive life often runs from 20 to 70 or beyond. At 50-something, Cecil had maybe only used 40% of his productive years. Reframing I'm old to I'm still young changed everything for him.
It's all about attitude again, isn't it? Whether you're 45, wanting a new career, or like that guy Bill, going back to Harvard at 51 and becoming a professor at 55.
Precisely. Age is only a barrier if you decide it is. And the same goes for being too young. He mentions Jerry, 23 years old, offered a sales manager job, supervising older, more experienced guys. Why'd he get it?
Because he could do the job.
Simple as that. Ability, drive, attitude, those count way more than the number of candles on your birthday cake.
Okay, makes perfect sense.
Oh.
What's the 4th and final common excuse?
Luck excusitis. Blaming bad luck for your failures or crediting good luck for other people's success.
That's a tempting one sometimes. Oh, he just got lucky.
It's easy, but it's a dead end. Schwartz talks about a salesman landing a huge $112,000 order. His struggling colleague just sighs, wow, you're lucky again.
But it wasn't luck, was it?
Not at all. The lucky salesman had put in months of hard graft, talking to dozens of people, working late, getting engineers involved. It was the result of careful, persistent work.
Right. Luck doesn't build businesses.
Think about it. Could you run General Motors by picking executives' names out of a hat based on luck? It's absurd. Success follows principles. So, the cure for luck excusitis. 2 parts. First, accept the law of cause and effect. Good luck happens when preparation meets opportunity. It follows planning and positive thinking. Bad luck has specific causes. Learn from them. Don't just shrug it off. Figure out why it happened so you can fix it.
Learn from the losses.
Exactly. Unlike the mediocre person who just feels sorry for themselves. And second, stop being a wishful thinker. Success isn't about hoping for lucky breaks. It's about doing the things that lead to success, mastering the principles. Focus on developing those winning qualities within yourself. That's the real way to get lucky.
So vaccinate yourself against excuses about health, intelligence, age, and luck. That clears a lot of mental clutter.
It really does. It removes those self-imposed roadblocks.
Okay, so we've got belief, we've tackled the excuses.
Yeah.
But then there's that big one, fear. Schwartz calls it success enemy number 1.
He does, and he makes a really important point right off the bat. Fear is real. It's not just in your head in a dismissive way. Telling someone it's only imagination doesn't help.
No, it feels very real when you're experiencing it.
Absolutely. It stops you from acting. It drains your energy. It can even make you physically sick. It holds countless people back from living fully.
So it's real, but is it curable?
Yes, that's the good news. Fear is like a psychological infection, but there are specific treatments. And the first step, the essential preparation, is getting this deep down. All confidence is acquired. It's developed.
Nobody's born confident.
Nope. The super confident people you see, they weren't born that way. They built that confidence piece by piece through their thinking and their actions. You can too.
Okay, so how do we build it? What's the main treatment for fear?
The core principle is incredibly direct and powerful. Action cures fear.
Action cures fear.
Yeah.
Simple.
Simple, but profound. And the flip side is just as true. Indecision, postponement, on the other hand, fertilize fear. Letting fear sit there, thinking about it, delaying, that just makes it bigger.
Use that Navy diving board story, right?
Yeah. The recruits, terrified of jumping off the high platform, they talk about it, dread it, but the fear only vanishes the moment they're accidentally pushed or jump. The action itself, the physical act, destroys the fear instantly.
So it's not about thinking your way out of fear, but acting your way out.
Exactly. He also tells about this executive, middle-aged guy, totally paralyzed by fear of losing his job. Sales were down. He was just worrying, drowning in it.
What did he do?
Well, initially, nothing. Just worried. Then someone asked him, "What are you doing about it?" And he realized, nothing. The advice: take immediate action. Call those neglected clients. Get your assistant fired up. Start quietly looking for another job just in case.
So proactive steps.
Yes. And by taking those concrete actions, guess what happened to the fear?
It went away.
Completely. He cured the fear, his performance improved, and he even got a better job offer. Action was the antidote.
So there's a two-step process there.
Right. Step 1, isolate your fear. Pin it down. What exactly are you afraid of? Be specific. Step 2, take action. There's always some kind of action you can take, no matter the fear.
Like if you're embarrassed about how you look.
Improve your grooming. Action. Fear of losing a customer. Work harder, give better service. Action. Fear of failing a test. Use that worry time to study more. Action. Fear of things you can't control, like a storm. Switch your attention. Do something physical, like pulling weeds. Action.
Even fear of what people think.
The action is to do what you know is right and accept that you can't please everyone. Action. The key is to act promptly. Don't hesitate. Hesitation feeds the fear monster.
Okay, action is primary. What else helps build confidence? He talks about memory, right?
Yes, managed memory. This is huge for confidence. Rule number 1, deposit only positive thoughts into your memory bank.
Like a bank account for your mind.
Exactly. Think of your mind like an engine. Put dirt or negativity in, what happens? Wear and tear, breakdowns. Negative thoughts, worry, frustration, feeling inferior. They do the same thing mentally. Successful people, Schwartz says, consciously choose to deposit positive memories, successes, good feelings.
How do you do that practically?
One great tip he gives: every night before sleep, take a minute. Consciously recall good things that happen, count your blessings, remember even small wins from the day. It's like making a positive deposit, and it really builds up your confidence reserves over time.
Okay, deposit positive. What's the second memory rule?
Equally important, withdraw only positive thoughts from your memory bank. He tells this story about a psychologist friend who said most of his patients wouldn't need him if they just stopped replaying negative stuff in their heads.
They operate their own museum of mental horror.
That's the phrase. People take a small failure, a bad experience like a rough honeymoon or losing a job, and replay it hundreds, thousands of times. They turn a minor negative into this huge, confidence-destroying mental monster.
I can see how that would happen. You just dwell on it.
Right. And any negative thought, if you keep recalling it, keep feeding it attention, it erodes your confidence. The psychologist helped one depressed patient just by having her consciously focus on and write down 3 good things, 3 reasons to be happy every single day. Shifting her focus away from the negative withdrawals was key to her recovery.
So it's a conscious choice. Refuse to replay the bad stuff. If it pops up, shut it down, redirect your thoughts.
Exactly. Deliberately managing your memory bank like this is a massive confidence booster.
Okay. What about fear of other people? That feeling of shyness or being intimidated?
Another big one. The core idea to fight this is to constantly remind yourself, people are basically alike. We're alike in many, many more ways than they are different.
So the person you're intimidated by, they have similar hopes, fears, problems as you do.
Pretty much. If they're fundamentally like you, there's no logical reason to fear them. And there are two ways to really get this perspective. First, get a balanced view of the other person. Recognize their importance, sure, but also recognize your own.
See yourself as an equal.
Yes. He tells about a job applicant who walked in thinking, we're just two important people discussing something of mutual interest. He respected himself as much as the interviewer. That projected confidence. Even people who seem frightfully big are still just human beings.
Okay, balanced view. What's the second way?
Develop an understanding attitude. This is about empathy. Remember the hotel clerk story? A guest is going ballistic, yelling, throwing things.
Yeah, how did the clerk stay calm?
He understood the guy was probably blowing off steam about something totally unrelated. He thought, underneath, he's probably a very nice guy, most folks are. By understanding the other person's likely state, by not taking it personally, the clerk kept his cool and paradoxically felt more confident. Holding your fire builds your composure.
That takes practice, I bet. Understanding instead of reacting.
Definitely. And there's one more, maybe less obvious source of confidence, your conscience.
Your conscience. How does that fit in?
Schwartz uses the example of a student who cheated on an exam. He didn't get caught, but he fell apart afterward. Why? Guilt. His conscience tormented him, created this poisonous guilt complex that just shattered his self-confidence.
Ah, so doing the right thing avoids that internal conflict.
Exactly. When you consistently act in line with your values, do what's right, you avoid that corrosive guilt. And that builds a really solid, unshakable kind of inner confidence.
Okay, so action, managed memory, perspective on people, clear conscience. It all leads to thinking confidently.
Right. Which brings us to the final piece. Think confidently by acting confidently. It's that mind-body feedback loop again.
How you carry yourself affects how you feel.
Absolutely. Managed motion changes emotion. Force a smile. You start to feel a bit better. Stand tall. You feel more assured. So the advice is, don't wait until you feel confident to act confident. Act confident now, and the feeling will follow.
And he gives those 5 practical exercises, doesn't he?
Yes. 5 concrete actions to build confidence. 1, be a front seater. Don't hide in the back. Sit up front in meetings, classes. It confronts the fear of being noticed and builds confidence.
Simple, but makes sense.
2, practice eye contact. Looking people directly in the eye says, I'm honest, I'm confident. It builds respect from others and strengthens your own self-assurance.
Good one.
3, walk 25% faster. It's not about rushing, but projecting energy and purpose. It makes you look and feel more competent.
Interesting.
4, practice speaking up. Fight that urge to stay silent in meetings. Even asking a question or making a small comment builds the muscle. Each time makes the next time easier. Be the icebreaker.
Yeah, get over the fear of looking foolish.
Exactly. And 5, smile big. Even if you don't feel like it, force a smile. It actually tricks your brain into feeling better and makes you more approachable. It's a powerful tool.
So front seater, eye contact, walk faster, speak up, smile big. Combine that with action against fear, positive memories, perspective, and doing right. That's a solid plan.
It's a really comprehensive toolkit for building genuine, lasting confidence. It's about actively rewiring your brain through behavior.
Okay, confidence built. Now, how do we use this out in the world? Let's talk about mastering your environment, your communication, starting with vocabulary.
Yes, the words we use are incredibly important. Chapter 6 gets into this. Big thinkers are specialists in creating positive, forward-looking, optimistic pictures, not just for themselves, but in the minds of others too.
And words are the paint they use.
Exactly. Words are the architects of those mental images. The right words build castles. The wrong words dig graves, as Schwartz puts it.
He gives examples, right? Like instead of saying we're beaten.
A big thinker says, we're not whipped yet. Let's keep trying. Here's another angle. Or if a business fails, it's not, I failed, I quit. It's, I learned a lesson, it was my fault, I'm trying again. It's always fitting things with possibility, with learning, with hope.
Even seeing a saturated market as an opportunity, because 25% is still unsold.
Right, focusing on what can be done, not just what's already happened. It's a mindset reflected in language.
So how do we develop this big thinker's vocabulary? He has 4 ways.
Yes. First, use big, positive, cheerful words to describe how you feel. Someone asks, how are you? Don't mumble okay or tired. Belt out a just wonderful thanks or feeling great.
Even if you don't totally feel it.
Especially then. It influences you first, lifts your own spirits, and it definitely influences how others see you. Be known as someone who feels great, it's attractive.
Okay, second.
Use bright, cheerful, favorable words to describe other people, especially when they're not around. Praise people behind their backs.
Instead of gossiping or tearing them down.
Exactly. Avoid that petty cut him down talk. It makes you look small.
Yeah.
Instead, say things like, she's really sharp, or he's a genuinely good person. It reflects well on you.
Good point. Third way.
Use positive language to encourage others. Praise is a powerful success tool. Compliment people sincerely on their work, their appearance, their ideas, their family. Everyone thrives on genuine appreciation. It builds bridges.
Makes sense. And the fourth.
Use positive words to outline plans. When you present an idea, promise victory. Start with, here's some good news, or we faced a real opportunity here. Frame it positively. It lights people up, wins their support. Build those castles. Don't dig graves with your words.
Love that. Okay, so words shape the picture. What of seeing the bigger picture itself, seeing potential?
That leads right into the next idea. See what can be, not just what is. Big thinkers train themselves to look beyond the surface, beyond the immediate reality, and see the hidden potential.
Like the realtors selling the rundown farm.
Perfect example. He doesn't just show the peeling paint and overgrown weeds. He presents a vision. Imagine a thriving cattle ranch here, or this could be an amazing orchard. He develops concrete plans for what it can be, and people pay more for the land plus the idea.
Selling the future, not just the present state.
Exactly. And it applies everywhere, like understanding customer value. That retail executive teaching his staff a customer isn't just worth that 1.39 item they're arguing about.
They're worth the hundreds of dollars they spend there all year.
Right. The checker saw a dime. The executive saw $250 in annual business walking out the door frustrated. It's about seeing the long-term potential value.
Even applying it to yourself, like that REIT clerk.
Yes, he refused to see himself, just as he was low-income, cheap apartment. He actively visualized the executive he was going to become. He held that future image firmly in mind, and it pulled him forward. Seeing your potential self is a powerful motivator.
Okay, so see potential. What about getting stuck on small stuff?
Trivialities.
Ah, yes. Avoiding the trap of the trivial. Schwartz is blunt. 99% of arguments start over petty, unimportant things.
99%.
Think about it. Most conflicts are about minor annoyances. The cure. Before you react, before you complain or fight back, ask yourself honestly, is it really important?
And usually the answer is, it's no. That simple question can save you so much grief, frustration, and wasted energy.
He even talks about how focusing on trivia can ruin careers, like the guy obsessed with having the smallest office.
Right. JM let that one minor detail, his office size, completely poison his attitude and performance. Nobody else cared or judged him by it, but his small thinking about it led to his downfall.
While the salesman with the stutter succeeded because he focused on the important things, ambition, liking people, learning fast. The stutter was just a detail.
Exactly. So 3 ways to handle trivialities. 1, keep your eye on the big prize. Don't get sidetracked by minor skirmishes. Lose a battle to win the war. 2, always ask, is it really important? Before reacting. And 3, think big enough to see how insignificant most petty stuff really is. Don't sweat the small stuff, basically.
Good advice. Okay, so we've got our words right, our vision expanded, avoiding trivia. What about the actual environment around us? How does that play in?
Hugely important. Chapter 7, making your environment work for you. The core idea is simple. Your mind reflects what it's fed, just like your body.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Pretty much. Our habits, attitudes, personality, even the size of our thinking, they are all deeply shaped by our surroundings, our psychological environment.
And it says we start out thinking big as kids, but then
life bombards us with negativity, subtle messages everywhere. You can't get ahead, play it safe, don't rock the boat. He says people fall into 3 groups based on how they handle this.
Which are?
Group 1, totally surrendered, bought into the negativity, live small lives. Group 2, partially surrendered. They have dreams, but they're held back by fear of failure, fear of what others think. And group 3, the fighters, the ones who actively resist the negativity and find more success each year.
And we want to be in group 3.
Absolutely. And that means consciously managing your environment. Be super cautious about what Schwartz calls negators.
Negative people.
Yeah, the ones who seem to almost enjoy shooting down ideas or discouraging ambition. He mentions a brilliant friend, WW, super smart, but ended up in a low-paying job because he was just relentlessly negative and sour about everything. Some negators mean well but are misguided. Others are just plain jealous. Either way, you have to protect your mindset from them.
Birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
Right. The group you hang with influences your thinking.
Massively. If you're in a group that resents ambition or constantly complains, it's going to drag you down. You need to consciously seek out the flock that thinks right. Find people who are positive, supportive, and growth-oriented.
And seek advice from successful people.
Yes, he makes a great point. Truly successful people are often surprisingly humble and willing to share what they know. It's the would-be big people who are often dismissive or unhelpful. Go to the real sources.
What about the home environment?
Critical. Needs to be psychological sunshine. He contrasts two guys, John and Milton. John's home life was stimulating, positive. Milton's was dull, boring, maybe even negative. That daily mind food makes a huge difference over time in your outlook and performance. Make your home a positive sanctuary.
Okay, so how do we actively improve our mind food? He gives 6 ways.
6 practical steps. 1. Circulate in new groups. Get outside your usual bubble. Meet different kinds of people. It broadens your perspective.
Makes sense?
2, make new friends. Join new organizations. Add spice, new ideas, different viewpoints. Keeps things fresh.
Okay.
3, select friends with different views. Don't just hang out with people who echo your opinions. Seek out thoughtful people who challenge you respectfully. It helps you see all sides.
Fifth, a good one. Avoid the echo chamber.
4, select friends who stand above petty things. Choose people interested in positive growth who encourage you, not people bogged down in gossip or materialism.
Quality over quantity in friendships.
5, throw thought poison out. Avoid gossip like the plague. Gossip shrinks your thinking, warps your view of people, creates guilt. It's 100% wrong thinking. Just don't do it. Don't listen to it.
Hard rule, but important.
And 6, this one's fascinating. Go first class in everything you do.
Sounds expensive.
Not necessarily. He argues you cannot afford to go any other way. It's about quality over quantity. Buy fewer things, but better quality. It often saves money long term, and crucially, it boosts your self-respect. Treat yourself like you deserve the best. It changes how you feel about yourself, like choosing the occasional nice restaurant over the greasy spoon every time. It sends a message to your subconscious.
Wow. That's a powerful set of actions for shaping your environment.
It really is. It's about being intentional about the influences you allow into your mind.
Okay, so environment managed. But life throws curveballs. What happens when you face setbacks? When you feel defeated? How do you bounce back?
Yes. Turning defeat into victory. Chapter 9, this is absolutely critical because setbacks will happen.
No avoiding them if you're trying to achieve anything significant.
Exactly. And the key insight Schwartz offers is profound. Defeat is only a state of mind, nothing more. It's not a permanent condition unless you let it be.
So successful people just don't stay down.
Pretty much. They get knocked down, sure, but they bounce back up. They learn the lesson from the setback, they forget the emotional sting, and they keep moving forward, upward. He tells about a consultant whose first 6 months were brutal. Lost his savings, lived in his office, heard no, constantly.
Ouch.
Yeah, but looking back after 7 tough years, he said it wasn't taking something out of him. It was putting something into him. Experience, resilience.
That's a fantastic mindset. Learning from adversity, like the CAA crash investigation.
Perfect analogy. They don't just mourn the crash, they meticulously figure out why it happened. They study the wreckage, interview people, analyze data until they find the cause. And that knowledge prevents future crashes, saves lives.
So the principle is, salvage something valuable from every setback.
Yes. Don't just get angry or depressed. Ask, what can I learn here? He mentions a student who failed a course. Instead of just blaming the professor, he realized the lesson was produce or you don't get where you want to go. That failure became a hugely valuable part of his education.
It's even possible to turn handicaps into assets, like the blind minister.
Incredible story. Mr. Williams didn't see his blindness as just a limitation. He framed it as an asset. Why? Because it meant he'd never judge by appearances. It forced him to listen more deeply, to give people second chances, making him a more compassionate and effective minister. That's turning defeat into absolute victory.
Amazing. But that takes courage, doesn't it? To face your own part in the setback.
Immense courage, like Rise Stevens, the opera singer. After bombing an audition, her teacher didn't coddle her. She said, "My dear, have the courage to face your faults." Painful, but necessary. Facing her weaknesses allowed her to improve them and reach the top. You have to be willing to be your own constructive critic.
Okay, so learn from setbacks, face your faults. What about just pushing through? Persistence.
Persistence is vital, but Schwartz adds a crucial qualifier. Persistence plus experimentation.
Not just banging your head against the same wall.
Exactly. Think Edison and the light bulb. Thousands of failures, but he wasn't just repeating the same failed experiment. He was constantly trying new materials, new approaches. He persisted and experimented. Same with oil companies drilling wells. They persist in drilling, but they experiment with new locations because most wells are dry.
So keep going, but be smart about it. Try different things.
Right. Combine persistence with intelligent experimentation. That combination practically guarantees you'll find a way.
Which links to the next idea.
Yeah.
Believing there is S a way.
Yes, this belief is like a key unlocking your creativity. If you tell yourself, I'm beaten, it's impossible, your mind shuts down. Negative thoughts flood in, confirming defeat. But if you genuinely believe a solution exists...
Your mind starts working to find it.
Precisely. Positive, creative thoughts surge forward. Your brain goes into problem-solving mode. He tells about a guy who thought college was impossible due to age and family. But once he believed it was possible, his mind found creative ways selling his car, walking miles, finding scholarships. Belief switched on the solution-finding mechanism.
And finding those solutions often requires quiet time, solitude.
Definitely. The power of solitude for creative thought. That engineer getting ideas while watering the lawn. President Eisenhower needing quiet weekends for reflection. Leaders need space away from the daily noise for super thinking.
To connect the dots, plan, strategize.
Exactly. But many people avoid being alone. They fill the silence with constant chatter, gossip, distractions. They never tap into that deep well of creative power within them. That executive who solved a tough problem by getting up at 3:30 a.m. just to think that's the power of managed solitude.
So the advice is practical. Carve out some quiet thinking time each day.
At least 30 minutes if you can. Just dedicated time to reflect, plan, problem solve without interruption. It's where breakthroughs happen.
Okay, so quick recap for turning defeat into victory. Study setbacks, be constructively self-critical, blend persistence with experimentation, believe there's always a way, and take time for quiet thought.
That's the formula for resilience and learning from challenges.
So with that resilience, where are we aiming? Let's talk goals.
Goals, Chapter 10. Absolutely essential. Schwartz is emphatic. Goals are as essential to success as air is to life.
Without them, you're just drifting.
Exactly, wandering aimlessly. You never stumble into major success by accident. You need a destination. Think about Dave Mahoney mailroom to company president by 33. He knew where he wanted to go. Progressive companies plan years ahead. You need a personal plan, too.
Like that college grad FB who didn't even know what kind of job he wanted.
Right. It's like asking for a plane ticket without knowing the destination. Pointless. The absolute first step in career planning, or any planning, is knowing where you want to end up. You need that clear picture.
And he suggests visualizing it in 3 areas.
Yes, the 3 departments of life. Work, home, and social. Look ahead, maybe 10 years. What do you want your life to look like in each area? Be specific. Visualize it. The work part often influences the others, but having goals for home life, like that dime store owner planning his estate and family cruise, and social life provides balance.
What fuels this whole process? What drives you towards the goals?
Desire. Pure, burning desire. Schwartz argues that ignoring your deepest desires leads straight to mediocrity. Remember Dan, the writer who took a safe job instead of following his passion? He ended up miserable.
Because his heart wasn't in it.
Exactly. Real success demands that heart and soul effort, and you only give that to something you truly, deeply desire. Following that desire is like putting a powerful engine in your life. It gives you energy, drive, enthusiasm.
And once that goal, fueled by desire, is set, it becomes like an automatic pilot.
That's the idea. When a major goal is deeply ingrained in your subconscious, it starts guiding your choices automatically. It steers you, do this, not that. It keeps you on course without you having to constantly think about it consciously.
Freeing up your conscious mind for other things.
Right, for clear thinking, for solving immediate problems. The subconscious handles the navigation.
He even connects goals to living longer.
Yeah, citing Dr. Birch. Retiring with nothing to do is apparently the quickest way to the end. Having a purpose, an interest, a goal to strive for, it's literally a life force. That cancer patient who lived 20 years longer than expected because she desperately wanted to see her son graduate, that's the power of a burning desire, a powerful goal.
Incredible. So, okay, we have the big goal. How do we actually get there? It can seem overwhelming.
Key principle. Achieve goals one step at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by the whole mountain. Focus on the next step.
Like building a house brick by brick.
Precisely. Every big achievement is just a series of smaller steps done consistently. That's where the next mile principle comes in.
Eric Severave in the jungle.
Yeah. Facing a 140-mile trek. Impossible if he thought about the whole thing. But he learned to focus only on getting through the next mile. That made it manageable. He applied it later to writing Commit to the Next Script, not the next 2,000.
And that works for breaking habits, too, like smoking.
Right. Committing to not smoke for the next hour is much easier than quitting forever. Break big goals down into achievable daily or hourly steps.
But what about roadblocks? Life throws up detours.
You have to take detours in your stride. Expect them. Like a good pilot has reserve fuel or a general has backup plans. A detour doesn't mean the destination changes. It just means you need to find an alternate route. Don't give up the goal just because the path gets blocked temporarily.
Be flexible on the path, firm on the destination.
Well put. And finally, to keep making progress, you need to constantly invest in yourself.
More than just degrees.
Way more. Real education is about developing your thinking ability. Invest in things that stimulate your mind. Good books, magazines, courses, seminars, things that give you ideas. Like the guy who said he couldn't afford not to take the Wall Street Journal. Investing in your mind pays the best dividends.
Okay, so goal setting involves 10-year vision, work, home, social, written down. Fuel it with desire. Let it be your autopilot. Achieve it step by step. Next mile, 30-day goals. Handle detours. Continuously invest in yourself.
That's a solid roadmap for turning big thoughts into reality through goal achievement.
Absolutely. And all this personal development, belief, confidence, goals naturally leads to impacting others, doesn't it? Which brings us to leadership.
Exactly. How to think like a leader. Chapter 12. And the definition is key.
It's not about being pulled up, but lifted.
Right. You are not pulled to high levels of success. Rather, you are lifted there by those working beside and below you. Leadership isn't just command. It's getting others to want to follow, to do things willingly because of your influence.
Okay, so how do you cultivate that influence? He gives 4 rules. What's the first?
Trade minds with the people you want to influence. This sounds almost magical, but it's profoundly practical.
See things from their perspective.
Deeply. Step into their shoes. To get someone to act, you have to understand how they see the situation, what their motivations are. He gives the example of Joan, the retailer, who failed because she couldn't see clothes through the eyes of her less wealthy customers. She was projecting her own tastes.
So constantly ask, if I were them, how would I see this?
Yes. It helps you anticipate reactions, tailor your communication, give better instructions, sell more effectively. It's fundamental to influence.
Makes perfect sense. Rule number 2.
Think. What is the human way to handle this? This contrasts with being dictatorial. Dictators might get compliance through fear, but they breed resentment and ultimately fail.
The human touch builds loyalty.
Absolutely. Treat people with respect, fairness, and kindness. Bob W., the millionaire upholstery shop owner, had his formula for criticism. Praise first, correct privately, praise again. It preserved dignity and encouraged improvement.
And the story of how he handled the drunk worker.
Classic example of the human approach. Instead of firing him on the spot, Bob took him home, talked to his coworkers about being supportive. Later, that same worker fiercely defended the company during a union negotiation because he felt genuinely cared for. Rubbing people the right way pays off.
Human approach.
Got it.
3rd rule.
Think progress, believe in progress, push for progress. Leaders look forward. Promotions go to the innovators, the improvers, not the status quoers, content with how things have always been done.
Like that consultant testing the salesman. The one with ideas got the nod.
Every time. Leaders are constantly asking, how can we do this better? They believe improvement is possible and actively push for it, and they set the standard by their own example.
The teacher who transformed the chaotic classroom.
Perfect illustration. She didn't yell. She set high positive expectations and genuinely cared. The kids rose to meet her standard. Leaders change the thinking at the top, which cascades down. You have to ask yourself that tough question. What kind of company club world would this be if everyone were just like me? Your example's powerful.
Wow. Okay. And the 4th leadership rule.
Take time out to confer with yourself and develop your supreme thinking power, backed to the power of solitude.
For that super thinking.
Yes. Great leaders throughout history used quiet time to think deeply, plan, strategize. Roosevelt, Truman, They carved out time for reflection. But again, many people avoid being alone, filling the void with noise and chatter.
Missing out on their own best ideas.
Exactly. That female executive solving the tough problem at 3:30 a.m. by just thinking that highlights the power of undisturbed contemplation. The advice is simple. Find that 30 minutes or more each day for quiet, focused thought. It's where leadership insights are born.
Trade minds, be human, push progress, think alone. 4 pillars of leadership thinking.
And the book ties it all together with some final advice for specific, tough situations.
Right, like when you feel sniped at by petty people.
Say big. Don't get down in the mud with them. See it as proof you're making progress. Feel sorry for them even.
When you feel inadequate, I haven't got what it takes.
Think big. Look important. Focus on your assets. Run that mental commercial about your strengths. Put others in perspective. They're just human.
When an argument is brewing,
Ask, is it really important? Probably not. Arguments rarely help you reach your goals.
and when you feel defeated.
Remember, it's a state of mind. Learn the lesson, research what went wrong, blend persistence with experimentation, and ask, like Benjamin Fairless, what can I do to be more deserving of the next chance? Use it to propel yourself forward.
Even applies to relationships starting to slip.
Yes. Think big about the person. Focus on their major positive qualities. Deliberately put the small annoyances in second place. It can save the relationship.
Wow. So we've really covered the core of those first 13 chapters. From belief
To conquering excusitis and fear.
building confidence through action and managed thoughts.
Mastering your vocabulary and environment, seeing potential,
Turning defeat into victory through learning and experimentation.
setting powerful goals and achieving them step by step.
All the way to thinking like a true leader by connecting, caring, progressing, and reflecting.
It's a comprehensive blueprint, really.
It truly is. And the amazing thing is, these aren't complex, esoteric ideas. They're straightforward, practical principles, illustrated with stories you remember.
But they do require conscious effort, consistent application. Knowing isn't enough. Doing is the key.
Absolutely. The potential for you, listening right now, to achieve more, be happier, live bigger, it's immense. It just requires embracing this way of thinking.
So maybe the challenge for everyone listening is this. Pick just one area, one specific part of your life. Where can you start applying thinking big right now, today?
What's one small action you can take to fire Mr. Defeat and bring in Mr. Triumph in that one area?
Because as Disraeli said, and it's worth repeating,
Life is too short to belittle. So what's your next big thought? And more importantly, what action will you take to make it real? Go out there and start thinking big.